folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. You'll notice that I'm doing it at my house this week because of extremely long delays when I went to Geekway of the West, which was a great convention. I'll talk more about that as time goes by, but I had a fantastic time there. But Delta was not so kind to me, which is why we're kind of recording this stuff at the last minute. However, I do have a few things to talk about our own conventions. First of all, the Dice Tower Cruise. Now, if you hadn't heard yet, the Dice Tower Cruise, we were forced to change times of the year. We were planning to do it in February of 2019. Now it's moved to January because someone bought the whole ship out and everything. This is good news, though, possibly, because you might not have been able to go in February, but you might in January. So check that out if you want to come. And secondly, all the rooms get $100 credit that the ship's giving us for inconveniencing us. So that's fantastic. Dice Tower Con is in July. It's May. There's not much time left to sign up. There's also only 45 tickets left as of me doing this now. Those are going to sell out, folks. You definitely want to come. It's amazing and fantastic. I've also talked about the Dice Tower Retreat. If you haven't heard of it, it's a small little mini con that I want to run here in Homestead, Florida, where you come and play games with us. But it's really, really small. I've gotten an overwhelming response. So if you did send a response, I'm working on that and I will send them out. If you still want to go, you can get on the list, but you're really far down, realize. And I should have details on that within the next 2 weeks or so. All right, well, with that bookkeeping out of the way, let's get started with the news. All right, so first of all, a new game from Elzra Games. Well, first of all, Catacombs Conquest came out. That's the picture I have here, or it's being released very soon. And then Catacombs Cubes. This is a new game in that universe where you're building things with cubes instead of flicking them. So far I've liked all the stuff there, so I hope I enjoy that. Yellow's having a contest on Board Game Geek where you can design possibly a monster for King of Tokyo. That's pretty cool. The Spiel Awards were announced. Azul, The Mind, and Luxor are the 3 nominees for the main award. I'll talk more about the rest of the awards and all in the Tom Thinks later on, including the nominees for the UK Games Expo, and the Origins Awards nominees were all announced. Days of Wonder has announced Ticket to Ride New York. I did a little preview of that this past week, so if you want to see some more details, I had a chance to play that a few weeks ago, but this is a very small 15-minute, literally 15-minute Ticket to Ride game. I thought it was pretty cool. Cryptozoic has a game called $1 Million, but this is a game they're designing in conjunction with Rooster Teeth. This one is really intriguing news. Cosmos has Lost Cities Rivals. This is going to turn Lost Cities from a 2-player game to a 4-player game. I have no idea how that's going to work, but it sounds... I don't know how it sounds. I want to say it sounds fun, but it just really works well as a 2-player game. And then Betrayal House on the Hill has an upgrade kit that you're able to buy to better components and things. I think they're trying to upgrade it so it's as nice as the Baldur's Gate, the Betrayal at Baldur's Gate was. All right, well, that's the regular news. Let's move to Kickstarter.
Happy breakfast, everybody. It can be tricky keeping up with the flood of games that show up in Kickstarter every week, so thank you for riding the tidal wave with me. Gold Seal Games really pulls out the pun stops and calls Tricky Tides a trick up and deliver game. In this card game designed by Stephen Aramini, players control a merchant ship and use their navigation cards to both take control of a round and move between islands. At those islands, players can pick up or deliver goods, and when they complete an order, you get a monster sighting which can contribute to your secret monster sighting goals for endgame points. Event cards add abilities or challenges each round, and there's an advanced game variant that introduces monster powers that players can take advantage of that ups the game's complexity just a notch. Tricky Tides has art by Naomi Farrell that really complements the game theme, and you can get a copy for $25 plus shipping. Neverland Rescue is an asymmetric 2-player game designed by Scott Almes being published by Letterman Games. Featuring 2 different gameplay mechanisms, the player controlling Peter Pan works to rescue 5 friends identified on their secret goal card, and this player really has more of a set collection bent. The Hook player deploys the crew to figure out the hiding locations of Peter's friends, and this is the player that really has a strong deduction game track. On top of that, there's a third win condition around gaining control of a ferry track that either player can achieve. Peter's friends and all the pirates have special abilities, and Neverland Rescue features illustrations by the talented Jackie Davis. A copy of Neverland Rescue takes a pledge of $25. Brook City is a cooperative, modular game that is distinctly inspired by 80s cop movies. In this card-driven game, you're working to take down the Wicked Syndicate by any means necessary. Each game you'll use a cop deck, case deck, and criminal deck, and mixing and matching these creates a wide variety of gameplay experiences. Open unsolved cases, explore the city, find leads, leverage your cop's unique abilities, and stamp out the trouble that pops up as you work to capture the mastermind. Each case changes up how cops interact with clues and evidence, on top of setting the particular game's goal. Brook City also features dozens of miniatures, and there are a number of optional add-ons as well. But you can get a copy of the base game for $89 plus shipping. Darwin's Choice is a card-driven game in which you get to build, mutate, and migrate animal species. Different vegetation zones have different survival requirements and can produce different food. Each turn, players can add, remove, or even trade different body parts to ensure their species meets the vegetation zone requirements and can get enough food or perish. Event cards can cause vegetation zones to change, and animals will have to adapt. Featuring really beautiful art by Rosin Grosjean, Darwin's Choice can be had for a pledge of 39 Swiss francs, around $39 US, plus shipping. Level 99 Games is bringing us Imperial Spells and Steam, designed by Trey Chambers. Set in the Indines world, in Imperial you take on the role of a railway baron in a fantasy world. An engine building, no pun intended, and delivery game, each player company gets its own set of detailed train miniatures and a set of unique special abilities. Players work to connect cities, fulfill contracts, develop different technologies, and deliver goods. As your tech develops, you'll also have to manage your resources in order to get new train cars that add on more capabilities to your rail line. The deluxe edition of Imperial has upgraded components, including resin goods for $99, or you can pick up the base game of Imperial Spells and Steam for $65 plus shipping. And Sprawlopolis is a cooperative city-building game that plays 1 to 4 players. With a deck of just 18 cards, players work to meet the game requirements by building their city to score the winning point value. But 3 random cards will set the scoring rules and win condition for the game, meaning there's over 800 combinations of play just within this small deck. Maybe you have to keep parks to the interior or complete a road loop. You have a wide variety of combos to mix and match. Designed by Steve Aramini, Paul Kluka, and Danny Devine, Sprawlopolis is part of the Button Shy Games Wallet series, meaning the game is inexpensive, but the campaign ends soon on May 26. You can get a copy of Sprawlopolis for just $10 plus shipping and can add on other games in the series as well.
Alrighty, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hello guys, I'm Cardboard Rhino and welcome to Rhino Says Yes. Today I brought one of my favorite Euro games that looks absolutely stunning. It's Yamotai. In Yamotai, 2 to 4 players compete to impress Queen Himiko about who will build the most prestigious city using resources from the fleets that travel through the kingdom of Yamotai. On a turn, each player, according to the player order, chooses an action tile, collects the depicted ships from the reserve, optionally buys or sells 1 ship, and then places the ships on the board. The land has 5 entryways and you must start from these points or place adjacent to ships already on the board. In order to place a new ship on the board, you need to start with the same color as the one you're placing it next to, and then the rest of that turn can be of any color. After placing ships, you can either claim culture tokens from any land that you've touched this turn, or build on 1 vacant space. To build, the space must have ships around it that match the colors of the ships depicted on one of the available building tiles. The more buildings you own that are connected to each other, the more money you receive, and if you build on a mountain or next to a palace, that gives you prestige. You can also use culture tokens to hire specialists. Each has a unique power you can use throughout the game, and they also grant you prestige points. After all players go, the action tiles that were chosen will create the new player order for the round, and new action tiles will be revealed. Once you trigger one of the game-ending conditions, you count your prestige points from buildings, specialists hired, prestige points, and remaining money. What's interesting about Yamatai is that everything in the game is interdependent, which makes the strategy more challenging. I love the player interaction in it, as whatever you do affects your opponent, so the best move from your perspective might not be the best option overall. Arguably, there is a lot going on in the game and it might seem a bit complex at first, but once you play it a couple of times, you get to enjoy it more. Plus, it's so pretty, it's hard to resist. So Rhino says yes to Yamatai. You should definitely give it a try.
All right, from the Dice Tower this week, I'm going to be doing a couple more of my top 10 lists. I'll be talking about Richard Garfield's best games. I'll also be and Mike Elliott's, their top 10 games. I'll also be taking a look at maybe some top 10 modern-themed board games, and then some reviews. I'll be taking a look at Laser Chess, Lagoonies, some kids' games, and also the new Jurassic Park games. I'm sure some people are interested in that. Sam and Z will also be doing some reviews and things. Of course, stuff coming out on the Dice Tower proper itself. And then this, of course, our podcast itself. Our podcast itself has been beset by trouble. Me and Eric were supposed to record it. Then I went to Geekway, so he switched to record it. And then his power, Eric Summer Connecticut got nailed by thunderstorms taking their power out. So there may be a show this Tuesday if it was recorded and all. So keep an eye out for that. Also, I'll be doing a live Q&A today at 3 p.m. So I'll have a chance to talk and answer your questions then. And that looks like that's what's coming out this week from the Dice Tower.
Hey everyone, Gamer Joe here. This week on Works of Art, I'm going to be featuring Crystal Clans with artwork done by Martin Abel. Crystal Clans is a 2-player card game in which you'll pick one of 6 clans, with expansions coming soon, and you'll battle it out on a board. Martin's artwork is on every single card in this game and it looks incredible. From the Meteor and Skeleton clans to the Water and Flower clans, each faction has their own distinct look, and he makes sure that you can tell just on artwork alone what clan they belong to. This, I believe, is Martin's first board game. He also has Joust coming out from IDW in the future. He tends to specialize in pinup art, and you can see more of that style as well as other styles at his website, www.martinabel.com. And he has a gallery in it where he shows off some of his fan art, some more pinup art. He also shows some more artwork on Crystal Clans. He also has a web store if you want to buy any prints or art books. Definitely check some of that stuff out as well. He also has a link to his blog where he talks a little bit about his process, what he's working on, and so on. He also has a Facebook account at Martin Abel Art where he shows off even more art as well as link his Instagram account to it. So if you have one or the other, you'll be fine. Well, that's it, everyone. If you want to get more info on Crystal Clans, you can come over to my YouTube channel, Board Game Artistry with Gamer Joe, and I'm also on Instagram at GamerJoe127. Until next time, enjoy your day, guys.
Hi, Mike Licio from Solomode Games. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that Kickstarter is a large part of the board gaming hobby. More and more of the games that are getting the largest notice are coming from Kickstarter, or at least have begun their process to the consumer through Kickstarter. And one of the things that I've appreciated about Kickstarter is that more and more the games that are coming out have solitaire modes, either as stretch goals or as part of the initial product itself. Now, one of the things that I have noticed is that the price of the games on Kickstarters are, generally speaking, getting a bit higher and higher as time goes on. And I think that I understand at least part of the reason for that. I think part of the reason is that to get the consumer's attention, game producers on Kickstarter are having to kind of one-up each other and come out with more and more impressive components, or more and more cards and dice and customized components and things to entice the buyer. And I get that, and I am certainly on board with having some very impressive looking components, and I really enjoy that aspect of gaming, being able to look at my cool stuff and just appreciate the aesthetic. But I wonder when, if at all, will we reach a tipping point where the common price that's being asked on a Kickstarter game is more than people are willing to spend. And I know that this is an issue that is going to depend on the individual, and really how much you're willing to spend is likely to do with what your budgetary constraints are and maybe what other obligations or hobbies you might have. But I do wonder, are we at the point where, when, to me, most of the games that I tend to be looking at are hovering in that $70 to $100 range, and maybe even beyond if you have miniatures added. So I was just hoping to get your impressions in the comments below. What do you think is the trend for Kickstarter pricing, and when do you think it gets to be too much? Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple. I am Thomas Grogan, and the topic I'd like to talk about today is rulebooks. Most rulebooks are well written and make learning a new game a joy, and other rulebooks do not. For all you game designers out there who want to put a good rulebook together, you're going to need two people. We'll call them Player A and Player B. As far as your game is concerned, they are like Sergeant Schultz. Give Player A your game with your rulebook. Player A then has to learn your game based strictly on what's in the rulebook. Player A then must play your game from beginning to end with only what was revealed to them in the rulebook. No typing in the forums on BGG, no watching a how to play video, no calling in for a friend. No, nothing. They then have to turn to Player B and teach them the game based strictly on what they learned from the rulebook. Player B then has to play the game successfully from beginning to end based strictly on what Player A taught them. If any of these phases fail for any reason at any degree, you need to rewrite your rulebook. Seriously, if you're going to put forth the effort and the time to playtest your game, at least put the same effort into playtesting your rulebook. So what do you think? What are some examples of a good rulebook? Or a bad rulebook? Sound off in the comments down below and let me know what you think. Or you can reach out to me at any of the social media pages, or listen to our weekly podcast. All the links and pertinent information is found on the website. And until next time, thanks for watching.
All right, folks. Well, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to awards this week. So I want to give my opinions on some of the awards that we have here. Firstly, the Spiel des Jahres nominees, which is a huge award. It's probably the biggest board gaming award, although you have to realize that it's German-centric and it's focused on German families. They have 3 awards, although this year they also gave a special award to Pandemic Legacy Season 2, which, while I love Pandemic Legacy Season 1, it's kind of interesting that they did that rather than just give it to Legacy Season 1, because Season 2 is great, and I like it better than Season 1. But Season 1 was like a definitive moment in Legacy-style gaming, I guess, but whatever. All right, so first children's game of the year. For once, I played almost all the games. Imo is a game where you're making facial expressions, a silly game. We actually had promos for this game on the Dice Tower. Sparkling Treasure from Haba, because I think you have to have a Haba game in there. And Panic Mansion, in which you're going to be moving stuff around, trying to get the stuff in the same rooms. I did a review on this one. I'm going to go with, I think Panic Mansion's going to win. For the Kennerspiel, these are the more advanced games, we have The Quack of Quedlinburg. I don't know anything about this game, unfortunately, but I'll try to get a copy and play it. Pretty Clever, or Ganz schon Clever. Me and Z are going to be doing a review of that this week, actually. But just real quickly, it's a dice rolling game. This one I found was, I thought, fairly light for this award, which is more of a strategy style game. I guess it's more complex than most roll and write style games. I just didn't find it that complex. Like, I could teach this to non-gamers and they would be able to get it and understand it, I think. But I don't know. I'm going to probably put my money on Heaven and Ale, maybe, because Kiesling is really hot right now. People like his stuff. It's an extremely dry game, for sure, but there are some good options in strategy in it. The main Spiel des Jahres is between 3 different games, and that's Azul, The Mind, and my mind just went blank, Luxor. So I played all 3 of these, and Luxor is, to me, the clear not the winner of the three. It's kind of like Candyland for adults. I don't think it's bad, but it's super simple, and I didn't find it that engaging. It was okay. While on the other hand, the Mind, I'm not even sure it's a game. It's like an activity more than a game. And I don't dislike it. I find it an interesting, fun experience. But to me, Azul is the clear winner. Everyone loves Azul. It's selling a ton. It's, this is one of those years where if Azul doesn't win the award, I'll go out on a limb and say that Azul will beat the winner in sales by a mile. That's just going to happen. All right, so that's the Spiel des Jahres awards. UK Games Expo announced a whole pile of awards. Best Abstract Game, Rubik's Flip, Thieves, Okaya. Best Children's Game, Brainbox People at Work, Don't Be a Donkey. That's a really weird name for a kid's game, because I know what they're trying to say there. Anyway, and Rhino Hero Super Battle. That's going to win. Okay? That's going to win the kids' game. There's not even a question. Best Family Game, Untold, Adventures Await, Iquaza, and Nomads. All three of those are pretty good games. I would like to see Untold Adventures Await because it's something different and unique and interesting. But my favorite of the three is Iquazo. Let's jump down to Best New Board Game American Style, which I think is funny from a UK awards. Hey, it's the best American game. I'm going to stand up with a cowboy hat. Woo! Anyway, Rising Sun, Bunny Kingdom, and Arena for the Gods. It's weird that there's two yellow games on there because Arena for the Gods is a decent game. But Bunny Kingdom and Rising, I don't think even Bunny Kingdom has a chance against Rising Sun. But who knows? Bunny Kingdom is a pretty good game. But Arena for the Gods, no, it's not going to win. Euro game, they have Photosynthesis, Century Spice Road, and Great Western Trail. That's a tough call there, I think. I probably would pick Photosynthesis out of those three, although I really like Century Spice Road. But then Great Western Trail, they're like three very different games. It's not a very, Great Western Trail is a more involved, heavier Euro game. The other two are, Century Spice Road is very light. Photosynthesis is more almost an abstract game. Best New Board Game Strategic Style, Civilization. That's not even a new game. It's a literal reprint of an older game. If that wins, boo. Warhammer Underworld Shadespire from Games Workshop. Okay. And Mini Rails, which I did not really like that much, but maybe other people do. That, to me, is just a poor category all around. Well, Sam will probably not agree because he loves Shadespire. Best New Card Game or Dice Game, Picoko, Legend of the Five Rings from Fantasy Flight and Fantasy Realms. Legend of the Five Rings isn't even... Okay, anyway. I'll go with Fantasy Realms. It's probably not going to win, but I like that one a lot. It's a little small card game. And Best New Expansion, Dracula's America, Shadow of the West Hunting Grounds. I don't know anything about that one. Queen Domino, which is not an expansion. Okay, you could argue that it's like King Domino with more stuff involved, but it is not an expansion. And Cities of Splendor. Cities of Splendor. The best expansion last year? No. It's okay, but it's not the best expansion. Best Party Game, Who Should We Eat? The people who nominate these games. Gutterhead and When I Dream. When I Dream, slam dunk the best one in that category. Okay, so finally now let's jump over to the Origins Awards. So, in the years past, I've been involved with the Origins Awards. I was not this year, so I can comment on these freely. Board games, they have 12 nominees. Captain is Dead, Dice Forge, Gloomhaven, The Godfather, Corleone's Empire, Great Western Trail, Lorenzo Il Magnifico, Near and Far, Pandemic Legacy Season 2, Raiders of the North Sea, which didn't come out that year, so I don't know why this one's eligible, Tak, A Beautiful Game, Sagrada, and Santorini. All great games. I'll put my money on Gloomhaven because it seems to be steamrolling over anything. If it gets beat out by something, maybe Near and Far. Card games, 5 Minute Dungeon, Aeon's End, Custom Heroes, Ex Libre, The Fox in the Forest, Hero Realms, Honshu, Jump Drive, The Lost Expedition, and One Deck Dungeon. By the way, we can stop saying Origins Awards are bad. These are good nominees in both categories. So here I'll go with the one I would like to see win here. I don't know. There's a lot of good ones here. Maybe Custom Heroes. That's a fun card game. I'm skipping collectible game. Family games. Azul, Bunny Kingdom, Codenames Disney, Codenames Duet, Downforce, Drop Mix, Hot Shots, Mountains of Madness, Sagrada, and Viral. How'd Sagrada get in both categories? It should only be in one. Well, whatever. I want Viral to win. That'd be cool. But I don't think it's going to. I think Sagrada is probably going to take... No, Azul. I don't know. Azul has this one too. And yeah, Game Accessories doesn't really have any much of board game stuff. It's more stuff for RPGs. Anyway, those are the 3 awards. So which awards category? Actually, of the 3, the one that's most interesting to me is Origins, because they're the awards that are most similar to my taste. Now, the Spiel des Jahres is not made for me. It's made for the average gamer, the average German gamer. So there's a lot of popular games, and every year I play the Spiel des Jahres nominees, and I think all 3 of them. Well, I didn't think Luxor was as good as the other 2. I still think it's a fine game, and there's a lot of fun to be had with it and these other games. And usually you can't go wrong picking those out. UK Games Awards are all over the place. I'm really not sure which one. I don't really know how they're getting these games into categories, but we'll see. I'll be there in a week.
Hi folks, this is Jonathan for This Is Broken. Today's game is going to be Role Player. So bear with me, I'm going to show you what I think is broken inside that game. At the beginning of each round, you're going to draft a die, put in an empty slot of your player board, and activate the power of that slot. So if you use Strength, you're going to be able to flip a die to its opposite side. It's great because I want to reach those target numbers by the end of the game if I want to gain points. Dexterity lets me switch 2 dice. That's great because I want the right color dice at the right spot if I want to win points by the end of the game. Constitution let me higher or lower the value of 1 die by 1, so it's great. Intelligence lets me reroll a die, and if I don't like my reroll, I can still keep my old number. Wisdom let me move that cube, and I can gain or lose points by the end of the game depending on its position. But the most of the part is because you want to use skill card, and if you want to use that card, I need to be able to move my cube up by 1. So if I cannot, I can use those cards. Charisma is going to let me gain that tile, and that tile is going to give me $1 rebate on my next purchase on the next market phase, and if I don't use it, it's discarded. It's useless. It's like a non-permanent dollar. It's weird. And woohoo, I gain 1 tile that's going to give me $1 rebate. It's the greatest day of my life. No. Joke aside, the other part I think is a little bit weird about that game, it's those armor cards right there. It's going to give you points if you collect them, but they all goes with 2 player colors. So if I play with red, white, purple, and let's say blue player, red and white is going to chase the same pieces of armor, and the other 2 players are going to be left alone. Woo-hoo-hoo! I know it's just for a point, but it's weird. So this is the part thing is broken inside that game. Thank you for watching. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Francis.
Welcome to Ant Lab Games Office Hours.
A short segment where we talk about the finer points of board gaming.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
All right, so we're talking about miniatures in board games.
Oh, cool.
So miniatures are extremely popular, as the financial success of any Kickstarter with miniatures can tell you, right? But the question is, when you have a whole bunch of them, what do you do with them? Are you going to paint them?
Absolutely. So sometimes it could take us weeks, if not months, to get a game to the table because the miniatures are not painted.
Yes.
This may sound a little crazy.
We're a little extra.
An extra. But with a little effort, maybe some skill, you could get the miniatures to the table in short order.
Yeah. The first thing you'll need to do in order to start painting your miniatures is to gather your supplies. We use a variety of acrylic paints that are inexpensive, come in a wide range of colors, and are non-toxic. Most importantly, they look great on your minis. All these supplies can be found at your local art supply store or FLGS.
Once you have your supplies in order, you have to decide on what exactly it is you want to get out of your minis. Believe it or not, there are a few different options for painting minis. The first and most basic way to paint your minis would be with a simple wash. Washes are, for all intents and purposes, watered down paints. When covered properly, a fully washed miniature will appear shaded and the details will pop. Just keep in mind that your minis will retain their base color, but look considerably more realistic.
The next option is to apply base coats. You simply apply thin layers of paint to all the main areas of the mini while being careful to avoid painting outside the intended areas. Be creative and come up with your own color palette or use character cards as a guide. Your minis will suddenly come to life, but lack depth in many of the recesses.
If you want to take your miniature to the next level, you can apply a wash to your newly based mini to add shadow and bring all of the details out. Finally, if you have a sharp eye for detail, you can then apply highlights to your minis with lighter shades of your base colors and some dry brushing.
All right, so think of these techniques as quality levels, and with each level, you're increasing the realism of your mini.
Right.
No matter what, when you get them on the board, they're gonna look fantastic no matter what level you're most comfortable with.
Right, I would agree. So that's about all the time we have for today. If you're interested in painting minis or learning how to paint minis, there are so many videos out there that will show you exactly what you need to do regarding technique. Believe me, there's a ton. So I'm Anthony.
And I'm Francis.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Hi folks, welcome to By the Numbers. My name is Hunter Thomason from the Family Showdown. This week's topic, my top 5 games that have lots of math. My number 5 is Alhambra. And at first glance, this game doesn't look too mathy, but you're purchasing tiles throughout this game and you're trying to get the exact value on these little money cards. Money cards? And if you get the exact value, you get another turn. How cool is that? My number 4 is Ora et Labora. I could choose almost any Uwe game to go in this position, but I chose this game because throughout the entire game, you're trying to pick the move that is the most economically efficient move for you. In addition, it has a cool little wheel that decides the value of resources. Pretty spectacular. My number 3 is probably the number 1 for most people who would make this list, and that is Power Grid. Power Grid is math the game. You're constantly doing math for many different reasons. Mainly, you're budgeting your money to do several different things. You're acquiring new power stations, you're having to purchase resources, and then you have to build new power stations. No list involving math would be complete without a stock market game, and my choice here is Stockpile. Stockpile has many aspects involving math. Any good stock market game would. It has the stocks going up and down, you have dividends, you have stock splits, you have buying and selling, you have control of the stock. Last but not least, my number 1 is Arkwright. Many people call this Spreadsheet the board game. For good reason, because it's almost like you're taking an economics class. Let's take a quick look at the board here, and you see, wow. Let's take a look at the player board. I don't really have to go into it, I just have to kind of show it to you. Look at that, that's the player board. But the game is amazingly fun if you take the time to learn it. So, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Hello everyone, my name is Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Mexica. So this is an abstract game where you use the action point allowance system. So let me show you a little bit about that and why I really like it. So this is the setup of the game, and players will also have a certain amount of temples to add to the board depending on the round. So on a player's turn, you'll be able to apply a certain amount of points towards actions to take on the board. This handy reference card will show players how much the actions cost and how much they're allowed every turn. One action you can take is to place a canal tile onto the map. That costs 1 action point. Another player can also build a bridge, which costs another action point. You can also move your Mexica token along the map, costing you 1 action per movement. Or a player can move their Mexica anywhere on the map by expending 5 of their 6 action points. By laying down these canal tiles, you can also create districts. If the player's Mexica is in that district that was founded, then they will also score points if there's a Capuli tile available. If a Mexica is also in a founded district, then they can also build a temple. The temple cost can range anywhere between 1 and 4 action points. Players can also acquire these extra action points for later. As soon as the players have built all of the first 8 districts or has built all of their temples, then the first round is over. Players will then score the founded districts by applying how much presence in temples they have in them. You play a second round, and the player with the most points wins. So the game is based on the development of the Aztec or Mexica culture. And what you're trying to do is carve out these different canals from these lakes to build these different districts. It applies to the game abstractly. However, what I really enjoy is the action point allowance system because you only have a certain amount of points to place certain actions on. The actions are very few. However, the way you disperse your points is what makes the game interesting. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi everyone, my name is Dave Luza and this is Playing the News. Like Tom has said, the nominations for the German Spiel des Jahres Awards have been announced. This year we have Azul, The Mind and the pretty much unknown Luxor nominated. And for Kenner Spiel des Jahres we have Heaven and Ale and the also pretty much unknown Ganz schön clever and Die Quacksalber von Quedlinburg. Now, we at the Dice Tower kind of have an inside track when it comes to new games that come out and even get an idea of which games will be nominated for Spiel des Jahres. But it seems in the realm of the Spiel des Jahres Awards there is an inside track. A secret path that only a few publishers know and know when to give exactly what game to the jury. And so this week I am playing a game by an author who designed 3 out of those 6 nominated games. This week I am playing Ganz schön clever. Ganz schön clever is a roll and write, where you try to score points on 5 different tracks. You do this by rolling the dice and then on your turn choosing one of those dice and score them on your sheet. You can do this up to 3 times, but there's a trick in play, because higher numbers are considered to be better. If you choose a die with a high number, you will lose the lower dice for that round. So for example, if on your first roll you choose the purple 6 die, which is pretty good, then you'll probably lose all the other dice and will not have any more dice for this round. All your leftovers are put on a silver platter for the rest of the group to choose one from. You can score combos, re-rolls and even extra points in the form of foxes that will double the score of your least scoring color. There's a lot of fun stuff going on in this game. Ganz schön clever. I have laminated and enlarged my scoring sheets and I'm enjoying it very, very much. Ganz schön clever. Nominated for Spiel des Jahres 2018 and the winner of the Spiel des Jahres will be announced on July 23rd.
Hello, my name's Dan and this is Cora and we're here today to talk to you about board games for young children. And today we're going to talk about this noisy game. What is it, Cora?
Click Clack Lumberjack.
Click Clack Lumberjack. Click Clack Lumberjack, which is also called Top Top Woodman, is a classic dexterity game where the players are trying to score points by knocking bark off a plastic tree. On your turn you use your little plastic axe to tap the tree 2 times. If you manage to dislodge a piece of bark, then that scores you a point. However, if you tap too hard and dislodge some of the central tree pieces, then you get -5 points. Click Clack Lumberjack is a really good game, which I'm dreadful at. So Cora, what do you think about Click Clack Lumberjack?
It's good. It's quite hard to get those bark off.
Yeah, it can be tricky to get the bark off. You need to hit it just right, not too hard and not too soft, don't you?
If it's too hard, it'll be cheating and you'll get all those.
Yeah.
And you basically won't have any points.
Yeah.
I've got -4.
I got -4 points.
I won with 3. I won with 3 points.
You won by being cautious, didn't you? As I just kept whacking the thing, and it looked like I was going to win for a while, and then it all fell over. What can you do? So Cora, what shall we give Click Clack Lumberjack? We give Click Clack Lumberjack, Click Clack Clack Lumberjack. So we give Click Clack Lumberjack 2 chopping thumbs up. Chop, 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 chop.
Hey, and welcome to another video in my series of card games that I really dig. Last week I spoke about a game called Whist. And if you convinced your family to play Whist, they said, this is a bit simple. Well, I've got a card game for you, which I love. It's called Hearts. Now, Hearts is another trick-taking card game. It's got a few more rules and a bit more going on, a bit more strategy, but it's a lot of fun. Now, the quirk of Hearts, which is not a suit I've just made up, the quirk is the fact that in Hearts, you don't want points. You want no points at all. And how do you get points? You get points by losing tricks. And how do you lose tricks? You lose them by winning them. But that's neither here nor there. If you take hearts, then you're lost and you don't want hearts. You want no hearts. Or you can shoot the moon and you want all the hearts, in which case you get no points and everyone else gets like 26 points, and it's hilarious. It's great. And you're like, ah. I mean, you only do that really if you're no fun to play with. Normally you just go, yes. Now, Hearts is like a next level trick-taking game. And if you've played a Whist and you think, I don't think I can play any more Whist, you think, we could play Hearts. And you'd be right, it's a great game. And just as a quick note, I appreciate that many of you may have played all these games as many times as I have. I really do suggest trying these card games out with friends and family because they are great games. They're classic games for a reason, and that reason is they're great. Not all classic games are great though, are they? Some are rubbish. I'll see you next week, and thank you so much for watching, even if you watch with a hate that just can't be quantified. That Matthew Jude with his weird way he talks, he's not comfortable doing what a son of a...
Tom, multiple times I've heard you say board games are just a luxury. And this is why I think you and a chunk of industry professionals are wrong. Games are not a luxury, the components are. For example, look at Deluxe Edition of Puerto Rico. Can it even be called Deluxe anymore? Now every other game has Deluxe components and Deluxe prices. Board games need something affordable, like paperbacks. But if it's just a luxury, then why bother? And this is why I think your opinion actually hurts the industry.
Well, in this instance, I'm going to clearly disagree. Board games are a luxury. You need food, you need clothing, you need a place to live, you need healthcare. Those are things we all need. You do not need board games. So I grant it, there's a lot of games out there that cost $80, $90, $100 plus dollars, but there are also many games out there that cost $10, $15, $20. But even a game that costs $5, $10, $15, $20, those are also luxuries. You don't need to have them. And I think we need to treat them that way. They're not things that you have to have. You don't have to have 40, 50 games. In fact, you can go through life owning no games and playing games from other people. It sounds like a full Tom thinks I might do at some time about this, but I don't think I'm wrong in this situation. Hey folks, if you think I'm wrong, send a video in and I'll play it here and tell people why I'm not wrong, maybe. We'll see. Who knows? Anyhow, thanks so much for watching Board Game Breakfast. I'm excited. If you're going to the homeschool convention in Orlando this week, I'll see you there. Otherwise, keep an eye on our channel. We got lots of stuff coming out this week. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.